Hey everybody, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective here for another Sci-Fi Sunday. Today we're going to be diving into Kenobi Part 6. It's the last episode here in this Kenobi limited series. Now, before this episode released, they were letting us know that they had tweaked the end here a little bit to leave it available for a second season is what they kind of alluded to. And then since it's aired and everything, like Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor have both said hey, we'd be down to come back for a second season, so we'll see what happens. But with all of that said, let's dive into the episode, because I'll talk about we'll talk about the end of the episode and how it ends and how I feel about that. Anyhow, episode opens with Reva on Tatooine, still hurt. It's the same thing it's the same idea, I guess, with the Sith here, that it's a specific thing to the Sith. Their want for revenge can fuel them to continue to live, and which is which is why the Grand Inquisitor was still alive at the end of last episode, because that's what he alluded to when he says the will, revenge is good fuel for the will to live, basically. And so now we see Reva still kind of not necessarily healed or anything, but kind of working her way through Tatooine. There's a dude at a water stand here. We see Obi-Wan's old boss from the meat, the carving of the meat or whatever that they were doing there. We see him push somebody out of the way, take some water, and then Reva just basically walks up. He gives her some attitude. She slaps the cup out of his hand, and Reva is saying that she has some questions about the Lars farm, and she's looking for a farmer named Owen. I'm sorry, that's what she says. She's looking for a farmer named Owen, and then we're gonna get what I'm gonna call battle ships here at this point, because right now Obi-Wan, Rogan, Leia, they're still trying to, we cut to them, they're still trying to escape the Star Destroyer and the Darth Vader and the Empire, chasing them. We get, Roken is with Obi-Wan trying to, they're all trying to escape. We have Vader is increase the firepower. It was kind of weird, it when I heard him saying increase the firepower, it rang back to Kylo Ren of being more. And I don't know why, because there wasn't nearly the same intensity at all. James Earl Jones is still speaking, Vader all the way through and everything for it, so it doesn't but it just it just rained back to me for that. Obi-Wan and Roken are having that tough conversation. We're not going to make it to Tessin. Roken's we need more time than we have. Then we get Leia walking back up to Obi-Wan saying hey, these people were scared, so I was showing them Lola to take their minds off it. And Obi-Wan's hey, maybe I should take Lola if she can help with that. We get a cut back to Tatooine. We get Owen and Luke walking into a replacement part shop, basically, and they're looking for a belt. And then that same person that was working the water stand that was talking with Reva shows up there, lets Owen, says, Owen, there's something you need to know. Cut back to the to the bad. Oh, but sorry, in this Tatooine thing, Owen's like, oh yeah, we wouldn't be here if somebody didn't break it, clearly indicating or insinuating that like Luke had done something incorrectly, and then that's why it broke. So like that's really it was really funny. And then we cut back to the battleships. Um, we get Roken being like, you can't leave me, like what about all of us? Like we were all supposed to stay together. Obi-Wan's like, Roken needs more time to fix the ship. Like this, Roken, this plan makes sense. Haja, he can take, he can take care of her. Like you will take care of her, right, Haja? And he's like, I don't know if like you can trust a fake Jedi and a liar. Everyone's like, good enough for me. And like Haja's kind of like shocked by that, Kumail Nanjiani's character. And this whole bit is, or that not like a bit like a comedy bit, but this whole scene here is just like really great because there's so much tension. I feel that they've done a really good job of like keeping tension throughout this series and stuff, especially in like chases and things like this. Minus that first episode, it was bad in the forest. That was just a bad. I don't know if it was badly shot or whatever, but just didn't look right. But everything else since then has looked fine for me. Like so this was all really great. I love that they're all still like trying to fight with each other, not fight like with against each other, but they're still trying to fight for each other to be together, and together they are stronger, basically. And so I just love it. We get a cut back now to Tatooine, to Lars' home. We get we get Owen like coming back with Luke, like, hey, go on, get inside. We get Beru being like, hey, what's going on? And Owen's like, she's coming. She's an Inquisitor. Ben's gone. And Peru's like, and whose fault is that? Like, oh man, Aunt Peru, I love you. You're so great. She's so great, so awesome in this. And like, whose fault is that? Like, so, and like Owen's like, we need to go. And Aunt Peru again, awesome. She's great. Like, not like in A New Hope, we just we have like a couple of scenes with them before they're actually like killed by the stormtroopers and everything like that. So like in the Empire, so it's like it's awesome to see them here fight, because again in the prequel trilogy we get some time with them, not a whole bunch. We don't like we don't get as much time as like I guess I would have liked or whatever. And here this is like a nice little bridging gap, like that's what the whole series has been, aside from like what Rebels is as well. In Clone Wars is like kind of putting the pieces together and filling in some gaps here of things. And I just love it. I love Aunt Beru here because she's really taking the call to action. She's like, no, I don't care if she's coming. This is our home. We're gonna protect him. We like we are not leaving. We have a chance, and that's all that there is. We are enough. You and me. And I'm just like, hell yeah, Aunt Beru. Hell yeah, she's so great. I love it. We get the cut back to battleships as well, and we get Haja has just talked to Leia after Leia also exploded on Obi-Wan for like leaving along with everybody else. Like, why are you leaving? Why are you doing this? And this doesn't make sense. And so yeah, we get all of that. Haja's like, hey, I talked her down. She's she's willing to talk to you. You're welcome. And Leia's like, hey, you said you would take me home. Like, what what happened? You said you would take me home, and Obi-Wan's like, I wish I could, but I got to keep all of you safe. Got to keep you safe, princess. And I'm gonna tell your father that I tried. And then he gives Tala's holster that has all the notches for all the people that Tala's saved through the path to her. And Leia responds, "It's empty." And Obi-Wan's like, "Leia, you're 10. I'm not going to give you a blaster." And it's like, yeah. You're not going to give a 10-year-old a blaster here, dude. Or here, Leia. So, like, that whole, like, back and forth, he's like, you're 10 years old. I'm not going to give you a blaster. It was just funny. It was just awesome. It was just great. But like he does say, but you won't always be 10. Like you'll be able to fight at one point. So have this, use this, and it was great. It's great. I love it so much. I love this. I love Leia. I actually love a lot of it. It's definitely kind of retconned, maybe recontextualized A New Hope a lot. Like they've crossed some lines here to where they didn't to where it's messed with it. Like there's just certain reactions and stuff that we see with Princess Leia and A New Hope and stuff that like it doesn't like in the message is fine. Like this is maybe kind of explained at the end of the episode. We'll also get to that. I'm jumping too far ahead now. But we get we get Obi-Wan saying, he, all of us will die if I don't try and do this. So, like, let's get the dropship ready and Roken, and, let's get the dropship ready and everything. And Roken's like, this isn't about us anymore, is it? It's about you and him. Like, you have to do this. You want to do this. And Obi-Wan's like, yeah, I've got to come to terms with this. Obi-Wan's like, yeah, keep yourself safe, Roken. There's not many leaders left. Don't stop. And Roken's like, yeah, I'm just getting started. Awesome. I want to see more of O'Shea Jackson Jr. Hell yeah, he's dug himself this, like he obviously portrayed his father in Straight Outta Compton, but since then he's done like the Godzilla movies and like Godzilla vs Kong and stuff. He's now in Star Wars. He's carving out this nice little like genre niche for himself, and he is great in it all. I've loved him in everything that I've seen him in. I think he's a fantastic actor. So like seeing him here, like I think he's doing great as Roken. I don't think Roken's unfortunately had like a huge amount to do, but every time he's on screen, I'm like, I love it. I love the one-on-one like battles, like even not even necessarily battles, but like arguments or discussions that he has with like Obi-Wan and stuff is really great. Like he'll hold his own and like he's very believable and stuff. So like I'm not knocking him, but I would like to see Roken be seen again in other stuff as like this like rebel leader and stuff, as this like new rebel leader, untold rebel leader up to this point in Star Wars canon and stuff. So yeah, I really like him, and I really like this. He's like he's reading Obi-Wan like a book. Like it's really no longer about like us. Like you have to do this. You want to go and do this. And then we get a cut to inside Vader's ship, and he's, they're like, hey, we're tracking an escape craft. The Grand Inquisitor's like, let's continue our pursuit on the main ship. We don't need to worry about one lone Jedi or anything like that. And Darth Vader's like, he's not just a Jedi. follow Obi-Wan, and it's awesome. It's great. Like, I love that the Grand Inquisitor is like challenging, like what is challenging, what Vader wants or what Vader is expecting everyone to kind of do or fall in line with. And the Grand Inquisitor's like, no, now we've got fireworks going off here. Great. So sorry about that if you hear that in the background. Sorry. So the Grand Inquisitor is questioning Vader. We really don't see too many people who do that. And usually people who are questioning Vader or anything like that end up getting force choked. So, excuse me. It's interesting that he truly does see the Grand Inquisitor as at least a confidant enough to like speak freely like that to him. So it was just interesting. It just shows the actual like almost friendship and camaraderie that they have there. Sorta, not really. But it was just interesting to see. Then we leave outer space in the ships, and then we come back to Tatooine, and we're back at the Lars home. We get Owen explaining like what's going to happen, kind of happening. We get Owen explaining to Luke like the Tuskens are raiding again. You know what to do if they come here. Hide, then you run straight out wherever. Don't be afraid. It will be. Excuse me. It will be okay. And then we get a cut to what I'll call the final battle planet, and we get Vader saying like, "Prepare my ship." Kenobi lands his ship on a planet. He finds Lola in his pocket because Leia, Obi-Wan said to Leia that like, oh, maybe I should have her as well for help and everything. So he leaves her on, I guess, like the dash of his ship or whatever, and he heads out into the planet. We cut back to the Lars home, and Reva arrives. We get like the like some of the alarms going off, and like we see the shadow of like a stranger from the desert kind of approach here, and it's great. We get some of those proximity alarms, like I said, kind of go off and everything like that as well. Cut back to the final battle planet, as I'm calling it. Vader lands. They're facing each other at a far distance apart from each other, and it is just great. I just love it. We get Vader asking like, "Have you come to destroy me?" And Obi-Wan's like, "I've come to do what I must." Then Obi-Wan, rips his classic, like, lightsaber, hand-pointed lightsaber pose and stuff that we kind of got in the prequels trilogy. I think we see it, like, once or twice in that. But really, it's more so common in, like, Clone War, like, when we see him throughout, like, Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that, especially with the... It looked more similar to, like, the stance that he kind of has versus Darth Maul and, like, Rebels is what really kind of stood out to me in it. But either way, then we get the battle that the lightsaber battle that we've been waiting for, and it is freaking awesome. This is just great stuff. It's shot so cool. We've got some really great some really great wide angles, some really great aerial, like overhead, like looking down at like the action like here or whatever. And oh man, it's unreal. It's so good. It was so fun to watch, and it just felt like Star Wars. And the whole thing with the credits and like the opening credits and like the end credits and stuff, like they everything about it is just like reminded me of the movies, and not like doing the, especially like the end credit sequence like they do with Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, where they have like different concept art and stuff that they have used throughout that episode, like as the background as everyone's names like scroll on by. And for this, they use the black background star, or the black starry background with the like baby blue lettering, and oh man, it's great. It's freaking great. I love it so much, and it's just been so cool. It's just been an absolute blast. The like I said, the fight is just unreal. We get glimpses from like the flashback of last episode of them like training together. We get some of that as they're clashing like back and forth, like hitting lightsabers and stuff. It's kind of intercut with that. Then we do a full on cut over to the Lars home again, and now Reva has entered the Lars homestead and lights up her lightsaber, and Owen starts taking aim and starts shooting at her, basically. Beru and Owen, launch their plan in their, in the way that they're going to protect their house and their family. We get a cut to Obi-Wan and Vader, Obi-Wan v. Vader again. And we get an awesome like wide shot through the pillars. Then it cuts to like an aerial shot again, which is also really great. Like I just love I just love it. And then in the fight, as we're a little bit more like intimate and like more of like a medium kind of shot for them, they are like Obi-Wan is rolling around to escape, which I just love. I love a good somersault, like a good somersault escape like that, and it's great. It's awesome, and Obi-Wan does it flawlessly and like with like relative ease. So it's always fun. It's always fun to see that stuff, and for them to for Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor to do that, and for Disney and Star Wars to throw that in. I just really liked it. I just thought it was really great. We also then start getting like a bunch of rocks get tossed all over the place due to the Force and everything. And, Vader's like, oh, your strength has returned, but your weakness, I see that your strength has returned, but your weakness still remains. And that's how I'm going to exploit you. Vader does get the upper hand a little bit here. They make Vader gets the upper hand. Obi-Wan is like getting sunk into like a hole, and then is burying Obi-Wan with rocks. And Vader's like, think you could defeat me, failed master. I found this very interesting here that Vader does still call Obi-Wan master here. I thought that was like very odd, especially with like the Emperor being his true like Sith Lord and master now. So like it was interesting to see that. We cut back to the Lars home, and Reva is like tossing a box, and she's like, wow, it's crazy. You really do love this boy, Luke, like he's your own. And like we get Beru and Owen are like, he is our own. And then they start questioning each other, like, what do you want? Like they're asking Reva, like, what do you want? And she's like, justice. And they're like, justice for what? And Owen's trying to hold her off and fight. Eventually, Reva gets past Owen. He calls out to Aunt Beru, being like, hey, she's coming. Luke escapes out the cut hole in the ceiling, and then Riva also goes outside and starts chasing Luke into a canyon. Obi-Wan is in the rubble in that hole where all the rocks were just tossed on him by Vader, and he's like just using the force to hold it up and like keep the rocks from crushing him, and it's great. Then we get excuse me, as this is going on, as Obi-Wan is stressed stressing himself out and like pushing himself to the limits here of it. We start getting voices as Anakin, voices as Vader, this is the end, admit you are defeated, cannot run, I see through the lies of the Jedi, you're my enemy, you should have killed me when you had a chance, don't fear the dark side, am what you made me, and then Obi-Wan thinks of Luke and Leia and boom, shoots, obliterates those rocks, and everything that was like laying on top of them just get knocked away. Totally taken out, totally knocked away, and it's great. It's awesome to see like Obi-Wan like come back and be here with us, and it's great. As though as Obi-Wan is just shot out of like the hole that Vader had buried him in, Vader was walking away, stops, turns around, and sees Obi-Wan there, and so obviously the fight continues again. And this time, like, Obi-Wan is throwing, like, rocks and stuff at Vader. Then we get we get a cut back to, like, Tatooine. We are in the canyon because that's where Luke was able to run to. He was actually able to make it to the canyon before Riva. So he actually is on the high ground of the path there. Walking along like basically in tandem right along with Riva, but he is just like that much, if this is the ground, like he's just like as she's walking away like that, and so it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it just oh so much. And Riva is having a tough time. Like, I love that she's not getting Luke. I love Luke is able to at least be elusive enough during this portion of it. But I don't know. At the same time, like, I kind of think that maybe he should have like stopped up there at some point. Like, shouldn't have kept going because maybe she really is still following him. But if she stops, he might have followed him. She might just like find him because he stopped moving and wasn't like continuing on his run. We get a cut back to Obi-Wan versus Vader. We get again some excellent aerial shots. We get some really great like hand-to-hand close combat between them as well. We get some really great shots of that. And then we get like Obi-Wan turning it up, like flipping the switch, and he starts busting with the butt end of his lightsaber Vader's like chest and chest protectors and everything, and like he starts wheezing, and then we get they cut over to the helmet, and they cut back to like after Obi-Wan had done that, backs up, they cut to Vader. Vader's like stumbling and getting kind of like up and getting his footing as Obi-Wan jumps and comes slicing down and cuts part of Vader's mask, and it's destroyed. It's absolutely destroyed, but it is we see Hayden Christensen in that makeup and in the burn like face prosthetic makeup and stuff in it. We also get a very unique conversation between Obi-Wan and Vader, and that is, Obi-Wan, I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You did not kill Anakin. I did. And, how, like, and Obi-Wan's like, oh, how will you stop me? The same way I will destroy you. Like, I will come after you. I will destroy you. And, and Obi-Wan's like, then my friend is truly dead. And he leaves. And Obi-Wan's like, goodbye, Darth. And Obi-Wan, like, I just love it. I love the distorted voice here at the end, because every time Vader talks after Obi-Wan slices open his helmet, his like voice and his modulators are all like jacked up and it's all distorted. Obviously, probably damaged due to the chest plate as well. But the distorted voice and everything about it is so great. Then we also get Reva still looking for Luke now in the canyon. We cut back to Tatooine. And eventually here, Luke is pretty quiet until he's not. He knocks over some rocks that are like out of place for like Reva and stuff. Like hearing it and everything, it sounds like somebody like ran past him or moved past him or whatever. And so she stops and basically kind of like grabs like Luke and pulls him down the side wall, like from where he is down to her level, and it's wild. It's wild that she does that. Luke comes stumbling down, hits his head, is knocked out. Reva, is getting ready to kill like Luke, and she has flashes to Anakin and Order 66, and then like I believe it may even cut back to her and she's still kind of crying, and then it cuts to the Lars home. After the Anakin and Order 66 flashback, it actually might just cut to Lars, to the Lars home, Owen and Aunt Beru. And so Obi-Wan arrives. They explain Luke's gone. She took her. Reva approaches with Luke, body and arms, and you're like, oh my god. Did this just turn out to be like a what if story? Did they just kill Luke Skywalker? No. They did not. They did not kill Luke Skywalker at all. Instead, what ended up happening is, he fainted. He got knocked out or whatever. And so they lay him down. He's breathing. He's fine. Obi-Wan and Reva talk. Like, she's like, I couldn't do it. I failed him, talking about Darth Vader. He killed all of those people, and I couldn't do it. Obi-Wan's like, no, you honored them. You've given them peace. Like, you can become whoever, you are now. You have your own freedom to do whatever. Like, you shouldn't be locked into this other thing, this Inquisitors and stuff. Like, go find out who you want to be. You don't need to be a Jedi. You can just go be you. And it's awesome. We have God, what does this say? No. So Obi-Wan's like, you've honored all of the, younglings and stuff before, because you have now given these people peace. She tosses her Inquisitor saber down. Like, she's helped up by Obi-Wan, and, Obi-Wan's basically like, we're both free from our past guilts of whatever we were holding on to, whatever anger we're finally free of that stuff. And it's great that Riva and Obi-Wan have been on such a collision course, and there was so much hate for Moses Ingram for just being a black woman in Star Wars, and it was awful and disgusting to see and hear all of that. Now, all of that was disgusting. It was awful. You don't say that. You're not a Star Wars fan. You even had Ewan McGregor saying it himself. Come on now. But for some people, they've just not liked the character of Riva, and it has nothing to do with her being a black woman or being black or a woman or anything like that. It's just I haven't connected with Riva, and I hope some people get there. Maybe that's why you never could really nail who kind of Riva was, because she was still so tormenting and kind of at war with herself really in the end. Deep down she was still warring with herself. She probably really didn't like being an Inquisitor or anything like that. And so it's cool that both now her and Obi-Wan, two people on different ends but basically the same coin, are now are now have a sense of freedom from their past and from their guilt. We get a cut back to Mustafar, and in Mustafar we have Darth Vader being we have a probe tracking every single system. We're going to destroy everything in our path until he is found, and he will not evade me again. And then we get Emperor Palpatine showing his face here, and he's like, I'm worried if your thoughts are clear on this or not, because do you still have feelings for your old master? Have they weakened your thought process and everything for this? And Vader kind of straightens himself up and kind of leans back, and he's like, Kenobi means nothing to me. I only serve you, master. And then we get the Imperial March music kind of coming in here. We get a cut back to Alderaan now with Leia, and she's getting ready, getting herself dressed, doing her hair, putting her holster on, and then her mother comes in, and she's like, all right, let's go, young lady, and is like, oh, is that how we're, going? Her father, she goes and sees her father, she's very proud and hey, look at my holster and stuff. She's like, Dad, you told me there were many ways to lead. And he's like, that I was right. There are. And, we're going to change things, in the future together, hopefully for the better. And Leia's like, okay, what's on the docket then today? More cousins? And then we get Lola popping out of the ship that had just landed. And it is Obi-Wan who shows up here. And, Obi-Wan meets greets the Organas. They're like, we'll never be able to repay you for this. I fear for her future. Empire grows stronger and bolder. And Obi-Wan's like, hey, if you ever need me, you know where to find me. Bail Organa finally is like, I hope that day never comes. Obi-Wan is talking with Leia then after the Organas, and is like, what do you think I should do now? I don't know, sleep? And then Obi-Wan, has a really great heartfelt conversation here with Leia, like he's had all through this series. And he's like, when I told you I didn't know your parents, wasn't entirely true. Your mother, you were wise and discerning and kind-hearted like your mother. You're passionate, fearless, forthright, gifts from your father. Both were exceptional and wise. I could, both were exceptional. Why they were both wise. Wisdom and stuff is something that I could use more of. And he says like, I wish I could tell you more, and I wish you could have known them. And she's like, it's okay, you don't have to. She looks over at the Organas, knowing that that's her family. It's awesome. It's great. It's beautiful, like that she can have this conversation with Obi-Wan about her biological parents and stuff, but the people that, nothing against Padme. She died. She died giving birth, or right after birth. And then Anakin. Vader does not need to be raising any children. So like Leia, even that young, is like still like, no, those are my parents over there, and that I appreciate you telling me this and like giving me this information and letting me know that I have this from my parents and stuff. Like, it's all said there, like not necessarily said, but it's all like acted there and whatnot, and it's beautiful. I love it, and it's like some of the great stuff that like Star Wars does, and I just loved it so much. But this is where we get the line where where everyone probably involved with Kenobi, knowing that they were kind of skirting the tail of like retconning and like kind of rewriting A New Hope in a little bit in a sort of way, is that he's like, if you ever need help from a tired old man, you know how to reach me, you know where to find me. But we must be careful. We cannot, we cannot communicate often, because no one must know about it. It will endanger both of us. And then that's where Leia says, goodbye, Obi-Wan. And he says, goodbye, princess. May the Force be with you. And then he gets into his ship. We cut back to him being on Tatooine again. And he is packing up his cave. And he is, packing up his cave, and he's getting ready to leave. He shows up at the Lars, at the Lars home. And, Owen's like, hey, what are you doing here? I thought you were going to keep what are you doing here? I thought you were going to keep your distance. And he's like, I am. You were right. He just needs to be a boy. The future will take care of itself. The only protection he needs is you and Beru. So, take good care of him. And Owen's like, I will. And right before Obi-Wan gets on his Eopa and goes off, Owen calls Ben back. It says, Ben, you want to meet him? And it's like, it's so good. Because Obi-Wan walks up to Luke, and the line that we've all been waiting for, as he gets to walk up to Luke and also give Luke the toy that we see later in A New Hope and like 10 years later, is we get the hello there. And it was awesome. It was so great that they saved it for that. It was awesome. So good. So good. Then Ben leaves, starts going into the canyon, basically, to go on the other side of the canyon, like away from Luke and the Lars, like home and all, and like Owen and Beru and all of them, and yeah. And then we get what we have also kind of been hoping for the whole time, is as we're walking, or as he's riding, we start seeing like a little shimmer show up. Then it's like that light little green. And then who do we get? we get Liam Neeson showing up. It's Qui-Gon Jinn, and it was awesome. It was so great. They give the hello there for him seeing Luke and like really being able to like be invited into like Luke's life for the first time there, to be introduced and say, hey, hi, and everything like that. And he gives the hello there. Awesome. And then finally, after 6 episodes of like trying to communicate with Qui-Gon and having no success of it, he finally gets to see Qui-Gon and his Force Ghost, and Liam Neeson came back for it, which he has done previously, like at least voice work and stuff. Like he's like, hey, you want to put me in a studio? I'll talk Qui-Gon Jinn for a little bit, you know, like whatever. And it's great. So it was awesome here, and Qui-Gon shows up, like I said, like a little bit of a mirage, and he's you know, Qui-Gon's like, well, it took you long enough. And Obi-Wan's like, I thought you'd never come. And Qui-Gon was like, I was always here. You just weren't ready to see, you know. And he's like, come on, Obi-Wan, we have a ways to go. And then, you know, they walk off and the episode ends, and oh man. So I gotta say, I have loved Kenobi. I thought it was great. And so here's the thing. I like, after this end here of the hello there and stuff, I don't know like what a season 2 would be like, unless we get it. Like, so the thing is like, there was, I think this series was probably 2 episodes, maybe 1 episode too long overall, and I really loved it. I actually really loved everything. But I mean, this originally came from a movie like script, so they, you know, stretched it out and whatnot, and a lot. Like, I liked it. I really did like Kenobi. I really did like it. But then leading up into the last like 2 episodes, they said that since the popularity of it, that they changed the ending to leave it a little bit more open and like basically open for a second season. And I kind of don't know like where they would have done that. So if you stayed with me to this point, please have a discussion like in the comments here with me about it. Is like, what would you like to see in a season 2? Because I mean, I don't know what a season 2 would consist of. Because like everyone would want to do like Maul or whatever because he's around at this time, but we already get that in Rebels, so we don't want to do that. I don't know like what other like major stories we would have going on in here. Like this, to be fair, like they stretched it out to 6 episodes, and I think you probably could have had it actually been a little bit tighter, maybe at 5 or 4, and do just a limited series that way. But neither here nor there. It was I don't know where, like what ending, like what they did that would have made it more definitive of not being able to have like a season 2. So I'm not sure, but let me know what you guys, what all of you think. If you want a season 2, if you just liked it how it was with the 1 season, if you actually thought that maybe this instead of even if you thought even maybe 6 episodes was too long, you liked maybe only bits and pieces of every single episode, and you think they should have stuck with like doing an original like 2.5 hour long movie of Obi-Wan instead, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Please like and subscribe to our video and onto our channel. And I want to thank you all for joining me here, Jimmy, at the Triple C Collective for Sci-Fi Sunday for Kenobi Part 6. I hope you all stay safe, and may the Force be with you.